Hello, and welcome to Friday's edition of our lovely broadcasting in the Successful Salon Team Training Room. I hope you're well. It's beautiful out there today. I'm so excited for the weekend. Like, not that we can go out and do anything. However, it's going to be lovely. So it's just going to put smiles on all of our faces. Before we start, I've got a little bit of an announcement. So the book went to number one in 3 book categories overnight, and it was in 4 countries.
Amazing.
Knocking Mr. Napoleon Hill with Think and Grow Rich off the number 1 spot. Like,
wow.
Highlights right there. I'm here today sharing this broadcast with Alfie. Hi, Alfie, how are you?
Hello, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, do you know what? When your name came up, I was so excited because I know that you do some amazing work. You're an amazing colorist, and just to give a bit of background. So James, my color rep through Salon Success, he trains in our salon, and he trains my team. And you're James's partner.
I am, yeah.
Another very successful colorist, and I was just so excited because your work, the pair of you, I love. It's
thank you.
Phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
Stalking you a little bit, your work, and I just love what you achieve. So, what is it that ignites that fire in your belly?
Wow. Well, I guess let me just give a bit of a background into me. So I grew up in a small town outside of Brighton, and I've trained mostly in Brighton and worked in Brighton as a salon hairdresser. And as well as that, I've also been part of an artistic team and a head educator. So it wasn't until I became an educator that I really became hugely inspired in my work. So ultimately, what I love to do is educate colour. And there is a huge umbrella of information that comes under the colour umbrella. So I'm going to kind of share some of that with you today. But I would say that is my huge passion. That is what ignites my fire, is the world of hair colour and professional colouring within the salon.
And what kind of house do you use? Because obviously James with Salon Success, we use Paul Mitchell. I bloody love those colours.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal. What do you use?
So I've actually used quite a few colour brands in my time. I used L'Oreal for maybe about 15 years of my career, and I absolutely loved the brand L'Oreal and loved working with them, and enjoyed some really good success with Colour Trophy as well. So that helped me keep inspired with the brand. Since the beginning of this year, I actually decided to make the huge jump into going self-employed, because I wanted to have a bit more in control of what I do, what I use, how I do my clients, and how I educate. And so since then, I have taken the opportunity to try out other brands, and Paul Mitchell has absolutely become my number one favorite in terms of their ethos, as well as their huge library of colors and opportunities that you have when working with the brand. So I primarily work with Paul Mitchell, and as well as that, Kevin Murphy as well. Both of those brands really sit with my new salon's ethos in terms of being an ethical, cruelty-free brand. So that's what I love.
Yeah, I must say I've worked with L'Oreal as well, and again, they're a great color brands. They are. My passion is in offering something very bespoke, and I feel that Paul Mitchell allow us to do that a little bit better than with L'Oreal. And I love, again, the ethos and the whole brand, really.
Yeah.
Everything that they do say and are about. I mean, they've been Salon Success, who we buy our Paul Mitchell products from, the number one distributor. Well, I think they're second. There's 2, but the number one distributor in the UK, and they've been throughout this entire crisis that's going on in the world. Them and 365 have just been so good for us, payment, not 365 subscriptions, they stopped it. Salon Success with the Paul Mitchell brands, they've been emailing us constantly. They've been like keeping us up to date. They've helped everyone with payments. Like they've just been second to none. And I think Tim touched on this yesterday about, you know, in a crisis like this, a company really showing their true colours. And I think the pair of them really have. There's a quick question that's popped up. I'm going to go with questions as we talk, if that's okay, so that you've answered it and you can, because I know you've got some amazing training you want to give to everybody. I have a big question for you both. How can I attract adventurous colour guests? I have so many colour techniques and ideas I want to try, but not enough daring guests. Could I offer my colour services at a discounted price to those willing to be a hair model? And can I then advertise that creative colour work to attract new guests? What would you do, Alfie? I know what I would do.
Yeah. Do you know, actually, there's a lot of questions involved within that question, and ultimately that question that you've asked is kind of a lot of the content and a lot of the information that I kind of want to pass on to you today does involve that. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the crux of it, because being able to encourage exciting colour and exciting colour for you and your client does involve quite a few different aspects. I think actually there's what you've said at the end of that, which was, can I then advertise that colour work? Absolutely. That is a really, first of all, that's a really great way. If you would like your social media or your salon presence to have more of a creative colour concept, then why not take a day out of the salon, invite some local models that you feel like would look great on your Instagram or social media, and update their look with something more creative. And then you can then use that imagery on your social media or whatever platforms you choose to use. And yeah, exactly, that's giving you the opportunity to show off the fact that you can do that kind of color. But just doing that on a model, kind of, that's not really that feasible long term. In fact, that you might only be able to find a couple of people locally that would fit your criteria and have that kind of color work done. And also, you're not really earning anything from that apart from, you know, more like kudos in your local area or on your Instagram. So if we can try and encourage more creative color and more variety within our color column, then that's kind of the goal, really. That's ultimately what I'm trying to achieve with my day-to-day color column, is ultimately creating more exchange within my clientele. I've always kind of been known within my salons that I've worked in to have a clientele that does have variety. And what I really like to do is inspire change and inspire creativity within each of my guests that come into the salon, so that actually when each of those guests come into the salon, I almost don't know what they want before they come in. And every time they sit down in that chair, they look to me for a bit more guidance and a bit more to advice to maybe change every single time, no matter how big or small. So what I thought we could do is start right at the beginning, because often when we're working with creative color or, you know, conceptual salon-based color, it all starts with consultation, which obviously we know that as hairstylists and hair colorists, we start every single service with a consultation. But a really interesting fact is that even though every single stylist believes they're giving consultations, it's a really small fraction of clients that actually believe they're receiving one, and they might even leave the salon and think, did I even get one, you know? So it's really important for us to really go back right to the beginning of the service, to break down what we're going to be doing, and basically to get as much information as we can to create a service that that client will be happy with, that then will create a loyal, perfect client. So some of the things that I really like to do are, as soon as a client walks into the salon, what I will start to do is start to notice little things about the way that they move, the way that they talk, what they're wearing, their kind of body language, and all of these tiny little bits of information will start to give me the information I need to maybe adapt myself to mirror them, because that is then going to create that kind of relationship between your client and yourself that will enable them to feel comfortable enough to give you the information that you need to do a good job. Because actually a lot of clients, we know when they sit down in front of you in the salon chair, especially if you haven't done their hair before, they might feel a little bit uncomfortable. They've got a huge mirror in front of them and they can't always express themselves in the way that they need to. We need to make them feel so comfortable that they feel like they can express whatever they want to say in whatever wording they want to use, so that we don't get, there's no room for fault on our behalf. So that's something I always like to do, is really take the time to kind of look at the way that that client is and the kind of body language that they're using, so I can mirror it and then replicate that kind of body language to encourage them to express themselves in a great way. So it starts off with that, because essentially what I believe is, as hairdressers, I believe that we are all social body language experts without even knowing it. There's something called social intelligence that you might have heard of before, being like thrown around, and it essentially means getting on with people and getting what you want from a situation. And what I mean by that is essentially it's people skills with a tiny little bit of friendly manipulation. And that sounds a bit weird, but for us, our ultimate goal as a colour technician is to make that client feel comfortable to tell us what they need so that we do a good job. So what we're going to do is manipulate that situation, make them feel really comfortable so that then we get what we need to give them what they need.
I guess
so
that tends to open up, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Carry on.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm loving it. I'm like this.
So I guess this, unfortunately, now is going to be changing slightly. The way that we do consultations is going to have to change in a post-COVID world. And it's something that our clients are definitely going to have to adapt, but we are going to have to adapt the way that we do perform a consultation. And everything that I've just said requires a face-to-face contact. It might even require a little touch here and there to make someone feel comfortable. That's obviously not going to be able to happen now. So getting the information that we need to perform a really good service might be a little bit harder, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. Essentially, what I think is that we've got to look at other ways that we can engage with our clients. Maybe that's through social media, but also to get the information that we need. And something that's come up quite a lot throughout this process is, how am I going to prepare for my clients, my colour clients, coming into the salon before they come in, when they've had such a long time not having their hair done, or they might have even done their hair themselves? How can I prepare for that? And one of the biggest things that I think you can do, you might not be able to do on everyone, but ultimately I would, when booking in their colour, their first time colour back in the salon, I would almost list through a series of questions that will enable you to book it in the correct way. And the first question, I think, is going to be, have you coloured your hair yourself? Because that is going to dictate time. Yeah. Have you coloured your hair yourself? Be honest. Because some clients are like, I mean, we can't blame them, really. It's been over 2 months, well, it's going to be over 2 months soon. And we know that good hair means good moods. And we pass that on to people every day. When they don't see us, when their hair looks bad, they feel bad. And they're probably already feeling bad at the moment. So I'm personally not making my clients feel bad if they say to me, yes, I've coloured my hair. Okay, what I'm actually doing is just making sure that the situation is going to work in my favour.
Yeah.
So ask them to be honest, make it seem encouraging so that they are honest with you, and give the information you need so that you can book it in the right way. So what I would then go on from there is, if they have coloured their hair at home, you are going to have to, I think, do a little bit of pre-work, if you can do, for your clients. So, for example, FaceTime consultations are a really amazing way to see the client's hair before they come into the salon, as I think that might be a part of the restriction when it all comes back, is going to be, you know, restricting the amount of time that people are in salon. So if we can do a little bit of work beforehand, then we should. I've already had quite a few FaceTime consultations with my clients, and what I really like to do is get as much information from that as I can, so that I can prepare their appointment in the best possible way. What I would do if I was going to do a FaceTime consultation is prepare the FaceTime consultation in a certain way and make sure I'm getting what I want from it. Okay, so things that you can do, I'll get really good lighting. Okay, so natural daylight is really good. If you're in a dark room with warm lighting above you, or they are a warm lighting above them, it will massively change how the hair will appear on camera. So make sure you go outside, and if you can, hopefully it would be a clear day like today. Obviously you're going to have a look at their root area. You might assess different parts of the hair as well. So obviously starting off at the front, you might then come down to the back and look at the root area through there, so you can properly assess what you're going to be working with. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same as face to face, but if we can get a bit of a head start, then that's what we need to do. So I just had a little thing come in there. So FaceTime consultations is really good. What that also does is bridge the gap between their last appointment and their next one. It makes them feel like you're still part of their lives, which is ultimately, I think, what they want right now. They want to know that you're still there. So offer it as a service if you can. Like you said, it's not going to be available. It's not going to be feasible for everyone, but there might be certain cases where you think, actually, this is going to really work in my favor. So do that if you can do it. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, we talk about having an exciting column. So what is an exciting column to you?
So an exciting column to me is about change. Okay, so I've been working in Salon for nearly 16 years, and like I said earlier, I've managed to create a color column for myself that is exciting for me. Even though I've been seeing some of those people for all of that 16 years, it's still exciting. And I'll tell you why. It's because every time they come and sit down in front of me, I will treat them as if they are a new customer. And what I don't do is assume that they will have the same as before. Okay, so the number one reason why people move on, and we all know this already, but it is because they feel like they aren't getting change. And that doesn't just mean that you're not offering them something different. It means that you're not being passionate about what you're doing. So even if your client sits down in front of you and you say, same as last time, and they say, oh yeah, that's fine. As you walk away back to your color area to mix up your color, even if she said yes, I know that there is still a glimmer of something inside of her that feels a little bit disappointed that you didn't even try. So I would, even if you know that, it's true though, isn't it?
That's a hard punch. I love it. You're absolutely right.
Because I feel like even if they do want the same, they still wanted to hear from you that you could change it. The opportunity is there. It makes them know that you're a passionate, confident colorist and that you love what you do. And you see them as an exciting person because they want to feel inspired when they sit down in front of you. And if you just give them the same as everyone else, they almost think that maybe you're a bit bored with them. And you don't see them as the kind of person that would accept a change. So that's my number one thing, is inspire change. And I know that that can sometimes mean having a bit of confidence that you might not always have. And I haven't always been super confident with consultations. When we first start out, we kind of struggle with a bit because we have to almost act when we first get in front of our clients. And we know that we have to be confident because that will make them feel confident. But that's quite hard sometimes, because if you're not confident, you have to think on the spot. And before you know it, you're stuttering your words. So what I would always do is take 2 minutes in your back area to prepare what you think you're going to say. If you've got any pictures that you'd like to show, find those pictures in the back area before you take them out to your customer, so you know what you're going to show. Ultimately, having confidence is your number one key to inspiring change within your clients. And the reason for that is because if you think about it this way, if you have your full area of confidence, if you cut that in half and give them half of your confidence, they will be confident in you, you will confident in them, and it will create that kind of electric relationship between color and between customer and stylist that really creates a long-lasting relationship. And it will mean that ideas are free to flow between you two. Ultimately, you want to pass on confidence to people when maybe they don't already have it, and make them feel like they are super special and that you are inspired by them, and that their hair is the number one thing that is of importance to you in that moment.
I'm grinning from ear to ear. What you just said there was beautiful, cutting your confidence in half and giving them half of it. And I think what that does is that locks that guest into you, doesn't it? You know, they know change. They're confident in who you are. Why would they ever go anywhere else? They just wouldn't.
Totally. Yeah.
Just wouldn't. So for a stylist that is maybe lacking in confidence, how do they go around getting that confidence?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of it does, I guess, come from experience. That's maybe not super helpful for somebody that's just starting out, but experience doesn't mean in years. Experience means in experience could mean quantity of times that you do something. The more you do something, the more natural it feels.
Yeah.
So, like I said right at the beginning, a lot of the time people feel like they stylists feel like they give a good consultation, and customers sometimes don't feel like they did receive one. So what I would do is, if you're just starting out and using language in a specific way, or showing pictures, or being really animated during your consultation, there's actually quite a hard thing to do, because you actually feel maybe a little bit shy, or you don't feel super confident at doing that. The more you do try to push yourself out of your comfort zone to create that a more dynamic atmosphere between a client and stylist, the more natural it becomes. So it is acting, but I would say as soon as you're able to go back into the salon, start adding little parts to your consultation that maybe you didn't do before. Be a little bit more animated with your hands, be a little bit more energetic. Go and grab the magazines or your phone and show the Instagram or Pinterest imagery of what you want to do, and just push yourself to be maybe a little bit more outlandish if you can. And each time you do it, it will become more natural. So then you can push yourself a little bit further the next time, and then that will become natural. And then do you see what I mean? So I would say that's a really good way to do it. Yes, I saw that yesterday. Yeah.
If any of you watched Lisa's,
no, before, yeah.
Yeah, it was Monday, but you've watched it on WhatsApp. But if anyone was on Monday, she was talking about that elastic band, and you kind of get so far, and then you just come back in again because it's scary. It's about moving that band further and further and further and further, and that becomes the new norm. And then a bit more, that becomes the new norm. And really, like, just getting out of your own way. Pinterest is amazing, and I'm so pleased that you've just mentioned that. One of the best things I used to grow my colour business inside my business was Pinterest, because all of a sudden I looked, and most of my clients are cut clients. And I just thought, do I need to change this? I want my colour percentage up. So every single guest that came in, I had already created a Pinterest board of colours that I thought would look absolutely amazing on that guest.
Amazing.
I just trialed it for that one day just to see what would happen. That day, every single guest that wasn't a colour guest of mine upgraded. And then so I tried it for the week. Every single guest upgraded. And it was just me not offering them that, because I was just expecting that they were just a cut client. Maybe you do that too in your columns. You think, well, they've never had colour, they've never wanted it. Trust me, if you make a Pinterest board that's named their name so that it's personal for them, and you show that you've cared enough to think about them outside of work hours, and you inspire them with what they could look like, they are 100% buying into that. And that's something you as a stylist could be doing right.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that you can do is assume that is to make the wrong assumption. Okay, the best thing you can do is assume that they want something different every single time. What I would sometimes do, if you're taking over from somebody that has done their hair previously in the salon, you can see that they had a few foils, or you can see they upgraded to Olaplex, or you can see that they had some kind of upgrade. When you go over to them, assume that they're having that again. Don't offer, the simplest form. Offer them the biggest form, and then they will either say yes, or they might say they would like something less. But either way, you're kind of encouraging that change. I think that one of the most important things to talk about at this moment as well is how to manage expectations of our clients, because unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's great in some ways, but we live in a really fast-paced consumerist world at the moment. So one of the most, I think, best ways to describe this is that if you see something you want to wear in a magazine, what you can do is then go on ASOS, you can see it walk down the runway, you can buy it and then get it delivered the next day. Yeah. So people want things now, okay? And unfortunately, it seems like that kind of falls into the same with hair as well. We've all been in the salon where someone's brought in a picture and they see that, well, I had this done. Yes, I bought this yesterday. Why can't I have this now? So it is kind of not, I don't think it's their fault. I don't always like to correct them in a way that makes them feel silly that they can't get something done in one day, because it's just the nature of what is happening with the way that we buy and sell things and receive products at the moment. So it's up to us to kind of educate them and make them see the positives in maybe spreading a certain service out across a few appointments, so it creates that loyalty. We know with color change as well, people do expect big color changes with in quite quick with quite quick results. So like I just said, if you can kind of turn something into a longer relationship, not only does it create that loyalty between your client and your salon, but it also creates, I think, a bit more of a natural progression to a color change as well. So managing expectations is really important. Like I said earlier, using imagery is really good. What you said about a Pinterest board is amazing. But one of the best things you can do is, if you find an image or they bring in an image of something that they like, let's say a really white blonde balayage, we've all seen it. It's probably been edited, but we can educate them. But the best thing that you can do is try and find another image that still looks beautiful, is maybe still styled in the same way, but is warmer and darker, and shows that actually that look can be achieved. It will actually look warmer and more golden the first time, and will have a natural kind of seasonal change and seasonal brightness to the colour as you come back each time to have it done and lightened. And basically that's turning the whole rhetoric into something that's positive and not negative. Something that I really love to do is never use negative phrasing in a consultation. If you use negative phrasing like not or can't or never, it turns the whole thing into a little bit of disappointment for your client. Every word that you use, even if you're saying that can't be done, can be spun in a slightly different way, and it's all down to clever language. Turning something into a positive will make them feel inspired within you and optimistic about their hair, and essentially that's what we want to do. We want to give them optimism, and we want to make them achieve their hair goals, even if it is over 4 appointments.
I love that. What an amazing way to look at it, because you're right. So the first thing that we do is turn to, we're like, we can't achieve that in this visit, but we could do it in 4 visits,
Yeah.
But actually thinking about the words that are flowing out of our mouths, and you are so clever at language. Like, I listen to you when you talk, and I'm like, literally, I could listen to you for honestly.
Thank you.
Honestly, I could. And I love how you just said, we need to not say the negative. Can't, not, doesn't cut it anymore. There's a way. So what would you say if I'm saying, okay, so this is my hair color now. I've actually been brown my entire life. I think I'm having a midlife crisis. I've started to go blonde. I know. So if I was to come to you today and say, I want to be white blonde, no tone, how would you then go about that in a positive spin?
Okay, the first thing I would do is say, I absolutely love that picture you brought in. So say, yes, oh my gosh, that picture, that colour is stunning. So the colour itself that they brought in, even if you're getting alarm bells in your head, you're like, you've got to be positive. I absolutely adore that colour. I love creating those colours for my clients. And immediately what that's doing is giving them confidence that you can create that colour and you know how to create that colour. The next thing that I would do is start to look at examples of journeys towards that colour. So I might say, absolutely, I really think that colour would look great on you. I mean, if you do truly believe that, and that that's what they want to achieve, you could say, I really think that is something that we could do for you. What I would say is that the journey towards this colour will be spread over 2 to 3 appointments, maybe even longer. But each stage of that process will still be beautiful. What I would then immediately go on to is how they view colour. Do they like warm or cool colours? A lot of people tend to say cool because they think, that's what's on trend, or people just don't like yellow. Yeah. And then what you can say at each of these levels is, yeah, we can still make that cool. We can create a beautiful beige blonde going into something that is lighter, into a more of a neutral, let's say 7 base blonde. And then we could then eventually start bringing you up into a sunny, brighter balayage look. Again, it's all about how you spin it. But essentially you can talk about the condition. Obviously, what our ultimate game is to make sure that people's hair feels and looks as shiny as possible, and no blonde looks good when it doesn't reflect the light. So that is something to talk about. You can talk about in color treatments, yes, but ultimately we can only do what the color product itself is possible to do. And if it comes down to it, I do like to bring that out to people. So if I've got a client that's just like, well, I saw that on Instagram and I saw someone do that in one visit, and you know, why can't it just be done? Kim Kardashian did it. And I say, well, actually, what we've got to think about is we don't know the time processes behind what those colours took. The reality behind the situation is ultimately with the colour products that we use, we can only do what those colour products will do physically, and those color products will only lift your hair to a certain level in one session. So when they see the kind of reality behind it, people kind of warm up to the idea behind it. You then, you know, turn it back round into a positive experience and then get them booked in.
Yeah, and then in that book massively says my facial expressions give me away.
Oh my god, we've all been there. We've all been there, like a little like eye twitch.
Yeah, like,
yeah, I can do that. I think that's probably the worst. I think hairdressers just love to say yes to people because we just want to be able to give people what they want. But actually, that's probably one of the worst things we can do. If you know you can't do it, think about how you can spin it in a way that means that you're saying no in a positive way. Because there's nothing worse than saying yes and under delivering. The best thing you can do is under promise and over deliver.
And practice that. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Like literally have a fake conversation whilst you're at home.
That's such a good idea. Yeah.
Liam, do you add your work onto the pin? You can do. Yeah, work accounts, absolutely. Your own work in there as well, and that you're showing your competence. And then yeah, if someone's looking for something that you've already created, absolutely show them your own work. That's the confidence coming in there, isn't it? This is what I get from another client. So yeah, I would. Dawn, it's perfect time now for when we go back for change with regular clients. Absolutely, and they are one too.
So I was talking about this with a friend recently, and change has already happened. They've been forced to change. So that whole, you know, rhetoric of having the same thing done every time, that's out the window now because they haven't had their hair done for 8 weeks. So, well, hopefully. So already they might even be open to change. Again, obviously change does mean that appointment times may vary. So if you do know that they are thinking about a change, you might want to have a pre-conversation on the phone, or if you can, a FaceTime conversation first to get what you need to book it out in the right way. We know that appointment times aren't going to be able to be slotted together too much anymore. So it is important to know what times, I mean, you know, how long things will take. I think it is a good time to change because, like you said, they've already seen it. Some people might have even been thinking about, you know, embracing their greys, in which case you might think of a way to embrace their greys, but, you know, think of a colour technique that would help them achieve that. So unfortunately as well, what comes alongside with that, I've realised, is that because they're thinking about change already, they've kind of broken that relationship with you slightly in some ways. Either they've been by your side the whole time and either they've been by your side and they've been wanting to come and see you constantly, or they've seen this time as a little bit of time to think about, oh, I wonder actually, maybe I should try someone new now, which is danger zone. So this is more important to keep that relationship going. And it's, again, talk about a change. The first time that you message them after this time, talk about a change, because it will make them see that you are the person to see. You are inspired by them. You are passionate about their hair, and they've got no reason to see anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said that from day one, you know, now is the opportunity for them if they, you know, they've had an 8-week break already.
Yeah.
So that loyalty of, oh my God, they're going to be wondering where I am, that worry for them is gone.
Yeah.
So if you're not reaching out and saying, hey, I'm here and I'm here for you, they then absolutely, if they're not happy with their hair, will think moving somewhere else.
And it's not even, Sorry, I was going to say, yeah, it's not even not being happy. It's that glimmer of disappointment that I was telling you about earlier. It's if they've ever had that glimmer of disappointment as you've walked away after saying same as last time, that's what's going to make them go and see someone else. It's not someone that's saying deliberately, I'm unhappy, because half the time you won't even know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we are also going to be on the receiving end of clients that are doing the same thing with another salon moving away. So we will attract new people, which is super exciting for our brand and our business. I know that my girls are really excited to get in and like see what happens now, like who comes in, who comes back, what new clients we attract. It's going to be something else.
Absolutely.
Well, Alfie, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, I think we've kind of covered a lot of stuff, which was what I wanted to do. Ultimately, what I really like to do when I talk about colour is to talk about the emotional side of colour and why we do it and what our clients feel when we are colouring and whatnot, not just the practicality of applying colour. It's all about inspiring the client that is in front of you so that they are inspired by you. That's something that I always like to teach is the thought processes that go on behind the way that we colour and how we can keep people passionate about us. And half the time it is about passing on passion to the people around you, including your clients. So that's what I always really, really like to do. I would just like to say, if anyone would like to see any of my previous work, colour changes, you can go over to my Instagram, which is Alfie Hair. And on that, I'm doing constant updates on colour techniques and also sectioning patterns to help you create these. But I just want to say thank you so much, Jennifer, for allowing me to be part of this conversation. I really have huge admiralty for you and everything you've done with this group. And it's really joined people together in a time when people needed to be inspired, and it's really kept people motivated. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And on the back of that, this group doesn't stop when we come out of lockdown. I am fully committed to raising the education and vibration within our industry for the long run. Okay, so Alfie, I would love to have you back on to do lots of different training with the guys. And when we're back in salons, maybe we could have some mannequin heads and do some live section patterns and some live stuff. I would love for that to happen if that would be okay with you.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got quite a few ready to go.
We'll have a chat off air then. We'll get something.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you so much for sharing your time with us all today. Don't miss the call because I want to chat with you and just get something else booked in before you leave.
All right then, thank you. Bye guys, thanks for watching.
Everybody have a lovely day, have a lovely bank holiday weekend. Not that I think that means anything right now, but enjoy your time off. I'll catch you all on Monday morning, 10 a.m. Take care. Goodbye.